What's going on, world? Welcome to another edition of the Black Mental Health Podcast. I'm your host, Reg. Joined today with me is another very, very special guest. We met, it been so fast, but I instantly felt the connection as soon as I met this brother. We actually met at a festival in person, but we met beforehand, and we just had like an hour. I don't even know how long that conversation was, but you dropped definitely a lot of gems on me that I didn't know, and for you to be at a young age, I was like, man, this brother gonna be out of here as soon as he get it together. But
oh man, I appreciate that.
Introduce yourself, tell the world who you are, and I guess a little bit about what you do.
All right. Well, first off, man, thank you for letting me come on your show. I really appreciate that, man. My name is Demetrius Bethea. I'm the founder and CEO of the Royal Umbrella. We're a staffing agency based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. We specialize in staffing for tech and medical companies. So the biggest thing is that, as far as my path to entrepreneurship, is that I wanted to provide solutions. So I saw a need inside of the space for medical and tech companies needing people, and not necessarily being able to fill that need inside of the most efficient and cost-effective way. So I wanted to make sure that I was there to fill that need for them.
Hey, listen, y'all hear him talking like this. This not how, this is the professional answer right now. he when I seen him, he was Dougie out, man. Like this what you put on the resume.
Hey, you gotta have the yin and the yang, man.
That's
you
true.
Gotta be able to have both sides of it.
It's true. How did you even get into that field in the first place?
Man, I could give you the answer that most people would say that this was my passion, and I thought about it and just knew this was it. But that's not it, man. It was God. Like in the beginning, I knew I wanted to own a company because I knew that working for somebody for the rest of my life wasn't going to put me in a position to where I could set my kids up for success in the long run. Because something that I always tell people is that I can't pass down a chair at a cubicle for a company, because as soon as something happens to me, they fill that spot, and then that's it. My kids, there's no legacy there. I can't do anything with that. So it started off with just me thinking of what's a need-based business, something that I know that 20 years from now, people will still need a job there, or they'll still be able to use this service. So I started building a team of a really strong and smart people, and it kind of transformed over time, and then we wound up here.
So, man, first of all, let people know how old you are, first of all, so that way they can know that you're doing this at a young age before even like grown people like that's in their 40s don't even do. So let them know how old you are first.
So actually, I just turned 26. Last month, actually.
Man,
so,
we Geminis together, Gemini season.
Oh man, that's why we click. That's it right there. When they see this, they don't know. Gemini has always been the best season. Now they can verify that now.
Now I heard you talking a lot about like your kids. Like, what age are they, and what made you want to leave something for them?
So my oldest son is 7, and he'll be 8 this year, and then my youngest son is 4, and he'll be 5 this year. So the biggest thing I think that made me want to leave something for them is the fact that just as black men, and I have two black boys, so as a black man, it's just like you see the struggles that you go through, whether it's from encountering police or dealing with different things, just everyday life, being turned down for positions and things like that, and having to fight a lot harder than a lot of other people just based off of your skin color. And sadly, the only thing that changes conversations a lot of times is your position and your connections, the people that you know. So my biggest thing is I wanted to be able to open those doors for my sons, so that way they could say, okay, I'm not worried about a position being turned down for the position because I'm creating them. Because I didn't have that to walk into. My parents worked hard, but they came from the era where it was you go to school, you get a job, you retire. But as we're seeing now, retirement isn't really working out for a lot of people. That's why
Mm.
we see a lot of people that's work hard their whole life, but now they still got to work at 70 years old. And I didn't want my sons to have to do that.
So
So,
talk about the
I think that's what encouraged me.
mentality of, because you said you just turned 26 and you got a almost 8-year-old and a 4-year-old
Yeah,
turning 5, right? Talk about
yeah, yeah.
the mindset of a teenage parent, man, especially as a young man, because even when I had my first son, I was 20. So that scared me in itself. So I can imagine what you went
Man,
through at that younger age.
man. It was crazy. That's a scary thought. I mean, I was 17 when I found out that I was gonna be a father. So everybody else was going to prom. I didn't go to prom. When all my friends was getting ready when they were 18, getting ready for prom, I was going to go to a CNA school so I could get my CNA, so I could learn how to do something that I could turn around quickly, get my CNA, and be able to provide. So the thought process wasn't, I need to immediately go to college, because I didn't immediately go to college. Immediately, I started working as a CNA. And so I think that the mentality was more so survival.
Mm,
And the survival mindset, when you have that, the only thing you're thinking about is not even necessarily what's the next step for the next 10 years. It's just like, how do I get diapers today?
mm,
And how do I get him, infant today? And that was kind of the mindset at that time, until I realized that living for today, a year later, you're still living for today, and you don't have anything to show for it.
mm.
Uh, so I wanted to change that mindset, because I didn't want to, 15 years down the line, he's in high school, and I'm still just living for today and still just trying to make ends meet. I wanted to find something different. But it's a scary thing being a teenage parent.
So walk me back to that time frame where you were going through that, because mind you, there's a lot of young brothers out here now that's going through that same exact thing and they running from it because they don't know what to do. I know for me, that's how my battle with depression, suicide, and all that stuff started, because of the pressure of being a parent. So talk about that mind frame, how you was able to, like, you know what, I'm gonna
Yeah,
do this, or I'm gonna take this route.
man. I think that for me too, it was tough. I mean, the main thing is thinking, um, something somebody told me was that you want to be the parent that you needed when you were younger. And I think that stuck with me. I'm just thinking about when I was young. What did I need? What type of emotional support did I need? Because it's not even all financial. It's more so thinking of what's the best way that I could show my son that I love him and that I care about him and things like that. But at that time, I would say it's tough. Like, as far as a lot of people, I would say they probably leave because they don't know what to do, or they didn't have the guidance, or that they don't have the financial means to support this child. So the easiest thing to do is to walk away. But I would think if it's somebody that's inside the same position I was in, I would just say it's better to just do what you can and be there. Like, in the physical, that you can at least hug your child, tell them that you love them, because they don't remember any of the gifts and stuff and all of that, the financial things that we stress ourselves about, whether it's holidays or anything like that. The kids don't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I put a big focus on that a lot when I was first being a parent. Like, well, I want my son to have J's, and I want him to have all of the when Trues was popping, I wanted him to have all the Trues. I want to have all that. And man, the craziest thing, the wake up moment, and hopefully this hit somebody, is that, man, I remember I spent all my overtime check. I was just buying all type of J's and all that. Craziest thing is my son turned around and said he wanted Spider-Man sneakers. He want none of that. He didn't want the G's. He didn't want the J's. He wanted Spider-Man sneakers. And even now, he wants slime because he want to do the YouTube video. He don't
Mm-hmm.
care about none of that fancy stuff. the biggest thing for him is me just being there and showing interest in things that he's interested in, which normally as a kid they don't cost that much money.
Mm. Man, and I'll give it to you, and I'll give it to my audience because I was supposed to put out a shirt this year, but I wanted to. I had put my other shirt out that weekend that me and you was with each other, and I had put that shirt out. But my shirt that I was gonna put out for Father's Day was kids spell love Time, like they spell it with
Yeah,
time. Like people spell the kids don't. That's how they know love. You spend the time with them. That's why mothers are so valued by children because the mothers spend the most time with them. So I was,
exactly.
I was gonna put that out, but it'll be out next year. Don't worry, people will forget by then. It'll be out next year for Father's Day. But and I feel comfortable asking you this because I know you probably understand where I'm coming from. So I got two kids as well, two boys. Um, how was it seeing like your friends do the stuff that they wanted to do while you had to go change Pampers? Like my friends was in college, they still was going out, they was still hanging out. They came home from school. I'm still got to drop my kid off at daycare and all of that stuff. How was that mindset and
Mm-hmm.
mentality? This portion of the podcast is brought to you by My Violin Weighs a Ton. My Violin Weighs a Ton is the realization of a unique vision that hip hop artist and mental health advocate Archie Green crafted and is bringing to life in order to engage, educate, and inspire a new generation. Archie also understands the power of music and how it can be used to overcome obstacles, deal with painful experiences, and even help individuals cope with mental illness. The students participating in this project are a part of the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, which according to a 2017 CDC study are leading the nation in suicide rates. Wow. 2 in every 10 high schoolers having attempted suicide in 2015. That is big. Wow. In January 2019, Archie and his mental health advocacy group, Peel Them Layers Back, was granted the opportunity to bring My Violin Weighs a Ton to life. For the 4-month-long performance project, Archie and Peel Them Layers Back have partnered with Lexington Bell Community Center, which is an urban youth educational center located in the historic Cleveland neighborhood of Ho. I hope I pronounced that right. To support, head over to the GoFundMe.com/MVWAT2019. The link will be in the description of this podcast, and make sure to let them know you heard them first on the Black Mental Health Podcast. This portion of the podcast is also brought to you by Black Men Heal. Heal Men, Heal Men. Black Men Heal is excited to share with you a new organization specifically targeting black men. They are currently offering 8 free sessions to local men of color in the Philadelphia area by qualified therapists of color who volunteer to donate 8 hours over a duration of 2 months. In exchange, the men will have to commit to sharing and discussing their experience with 8 other black men that they identify with. I was able to participate in Black Men Hill. Phenomenal experience, man. I was able to meet my therapist George, and we still have a phenomenal relationship today. And it helped me a whole lot in a whole ordeal. So, if you're in the Philadelphia region, check them out. They always have new sessions going on. So you may not be in this cohort, but you can always get into the next one. So check out blackmanhill.org when you get a chance.
Man, it was tough. Like at first, you see it, especially, you're 18, 19, 20, everybody, they in the club, they going on trips. People, I talk to my friends, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going on a cruise for the next week. I can't find a babysitter for a week. So there's no way I could do that. But the thing is I think that it it gave me more time to figure out what I wanted to do. Because
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people that did everything that they wanted to do, and they still do everything that they wanted to do, but they're not doing anything that they need to do. So I think sometimes people look at it like it's a handicap. Like I have a kid, so I can't, pursue my dream, or I can't do, whatever it is that I want to do. But the thing is like, I think it's more so motivation because now you looking at yourself basically in the mirror every time you look at your child. And if you want your child to have something, more so than being like, all right, I want to be lit, I want to go to the club, I want to get the whatever, I want to be on, Instagram with the Balenciagas and all that. You got a kid that's right here that you have to turn around to and explain that to. Because if you're just responsible for yourself, you don't have to really look yourself in the mirror and say, dang, I just blew my whole check to go to Coachella and I can't even afford to do nothing else. But now you got a child you are responsible for. So I would say that although it was hard, looking back on it right now, I would say if I didn't have my sons, I don't think I would be as motivated to do the things that I'm doing. I don't think I probably would have been at Coachella. I probably would have been, running around, but it's like the whole, I would say the whole direction of my life changed by having a child, and it made me sit back and think about the person who I was, because I know that at some point in time, I'm gonna have to answer for the decisions that I'm making. So I would hate for the decisions that I'm making for me to have to explain why, I felt it was more important to party and burn through money inside my youth and not set nothing aside for them. I think that's a tough conversation. Whereas to right now, the only conversation is, hey, daddy working right now, and I'm doing it for your future. And I think that's a better conversation to have and easier to explain when I can say, you don't got to worry about student loan.
Man, that is so key because like yourself, I always felt, because we won't never know, but just like with the mindset you have and the mindset that I have, we eventually got around to doing what we doing today. But when you have your kids, they kind of force that person to come out of you early. Like you're required to have that person come out.
Exactly. Because I'm sure, like you could even probably, you could speak to it that, I'm sure it's been times where somebody do something, you be like, yo, that'd be lit. And then you think about it like, nah, I ain't got no sitter for that. I can't even do it. But you make time, you know what I mean? You make time to still do stuff. Like, people should still live their life, but I think it's just like, once you have somebody that you have to answer to, and even though your kids really answer to you in a way, from the time that they're born, you answer to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You answer to them in the sense of, like, if you make too many mistakes, they're gonna turn around. Especially with my sons, one thing I think about is I don't want my sons to look at me and be like, the male figure in my life did this. Is this what a man is?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to have to figure out what a man is based upon confusion on my actions. I want them to be able to say a man is what my dad showed me that it was by his actions. And then when they get a little bit older, I mean, I still be young enough to go to Coachella, so I might swing back around.
No, I'm with you, man. Like, 'cause it really is true. Like, I always say my children have been a blessing as well as like a change in the mindset, because now you will want that responsibility or that sense of motivation without the children, because now you got more time to do stuff. But now when you're responsible to drop your son off at school or pick them up or change or do all that stuff, now it kind of cuts in. But without them, you wouldn't have the motivation. So it's like a gift and a curse at the same time.
I'm telling you, I tell you what's so crazy. So me and my sons have a mantra that we do, and I do that because I want them to understand the importance of just self-esteem and understanding their worth and their value. Because I know, I tell my 7-year-old the reality of the world, which is what he's going to be dealing with. The fact that he's going to have to work harder than his counterparts. But basically, whenever we had that conversation, every time we talk, I say, what happens when you wake up? He says the ground shakes. And I ask him, why does the ground shake? He said, because I'm powerful. And I ask him every day, and I say, what we in? He say, grind mode. And that's it. I let him know. We all grind, and we grind it for different reasons. But, his grind right now is school. As long as you understand your grind and understand what you got to do and understand that, what I'm doing is for you, like, I think that that's a good way to set them apart. Because one thing is, like, I realized that as, even the black boys, they start trying to put labels on them so early, man. Like, my oldest son, the first thing that they do is he says the wrong thing, and they're quick to say he's aggressive. They put labels on him, on our boys, and it's just like, so I think it motivates me to do well, because I want to make sure that they see that no matter what the world labels them as and what the world says that they're supposed to be or they're supposed to act, that they can still do whatever that they want to do, even though they're black and even though they're being raised in America in a society that wants a lot of time for us to fail. So yeah.
It started raining on me. I had to close the sunroof.
Oh, yo, you just did a little humble flex, but I'm gonna go ahead and just let. Oh, yeah, see, I just had to close. I had to close the roof one time, bro. Don't worry about
But man,
it.
you touched on stuff so good, man, because it's funny that you said that. My youngest that just turned 1, he just had a doctor's appointment this past week. And they was like, they think something may or may not be wrong with him because he's quote unquote not up to speed. And I'm like, who's speed? Like he's running his own race. They like he's not picking
Right.
stuff with like this. They said he should be saying more words. And I'm like, yo, what? This is how the label gets started. You get, and he's just a
Yeah.
year. He
Yeah.
just hit a year, and this is how they get you early and diagnosed and messed up early on. And I'm like my son don't got nothing. Leave my son alone. And I didn't go.
Exactly.
I was mad that I didn't go because I'd have checked whoever it was in there. Like, yo, there's nothing wrong with this kid. And but
Exactly.
that's exactly what you said. Them labels go early and they mess you up long term, and you don't even realize it. This portion of the podcast is brought to you by the Worthy Lifestyle app. Are you looking for mental health support, education, and resources? Are you lacking self-esteem to elevate? Are you looking for a way to handle the childhood trauma you're not talking about? Are you sad, angry, or just all over the place emotionally? If so, download the Worthy Lifestyle app. The Worthy Lifestyle app provides mental health education, resources, and support. Learn how to become the best version of yourself. Before you can win, you have to believe you're worthy. Download the Worthy Lifestyle app and tell them Brad sent you. I had a chance to meet the creator and the owner and the operator, and she's an amazing person. We actually are in the talks of doing big things together, especially for the mental health community. So I'm in so full support of what she's doing with this app, and I highly recommend it because it's an amazing tool for people that say therapy and all of these things are expensive and they don't know where to start. So the Worthy Lifestyle app is definitely a place to give you that start, and it might be the place that you call home for a while. So go download the app and tell them Brad sent you. This portion of the podcast is brought to you by Back to the Basics. I can't do yoga is a narrative that is often expressed because many yoga spaces are catered to those of a specific body type and how these bodies can perform picture-perfect techniques. When instructor Bianca decided to start teaching, she was intentional about reaching everyone, no matter your level, gender, or age. Everyone is capable of achieving the practice because it is your practice and you go at your pace. Join her for this Back to Basics workshop on July 28th, where you'll be exploring basic yoga movements and alignments. She'll be giving step-by-step instructions on how to achieve basic movements accompanied by breathing techniques while assisting in correct posture. She will also be given a brief overview of some other limbs of yoga and how to incorporate them in your daily lifestyle. This is a beginner-friendly class open to all adults and children over the age of 10. Tickets are available at brozo.com/events. The link will be in the description, and make sure to let them know you heard it first at the Black Mental Health Podcast.
Not at all. And it's so crazy too. Like even and since this is, the mental health podcast, we gotta touch on that too. Like how does that affect us, man? Like I think that affects us a lot. Like even when you're younger and you're frustrated and the fact that primarily you're immature, growing up and you get frustrated with something, you're angry. The first thing they say is you got anger management problems.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just saying you have difficulty processing your emotions and you need to find a better way for you to be able to get through your emotions, they put you in anger management counseling, and they throw those labels at you so much that a lot of people start to believe them, and that's why you run into the people that they're crazy to themselves, but in reality they're not. It's just that they've been told, you have anger management problems, or you're bipolar, or you got ADHD, or you got whatever label they could throw at you for you to feel like you are anything less than normal.
Now,
And
That's so true. It's so true, bro. I'm with you 100%. I don't mean to cut you off, but that is so true because there are people out there that have those escalated forms of mental struggles. But
Yeah,
I don't think it's always that. We got to find alternatives and put people in their proper categories before you just label, bam, label, and that stuff bothers
yeah.
me off the rip.
I'm trying, man. It's real. I mean, because um, it's so funny because you know, I think I had two different extremes. Um, so growing up, my dad was in the military, so I kind of bounced around a lot, and I've been to the inner city schools, and I've been to schools in the suburbs too, and the way that you're received is different in the sense that when you're inside the inner city schools, a lot of times, um, some schools understand the fact that okay, people have disagreements. They may not, you know, always get along. They separate you, put you into whatever rooms they put you into. When I went to school inside the suburbs, I was like the guinea pig or something. Like they wanted, like anything that I said wrong, they wanted to say, "Oh, you have this label. You
Wow.
have anger management. You don't understand um how to communicate and make friends." And it wasn't that. I was the only black kid inside of an all-white school, so I was
Wow.
instantly standing out. Um, so the first thing they do is put you in counseling, and they try to tell you, um, they recommend that maybe you go see someone and medication may help. So it's funny that, you know, if I would have agreed and said okay, you know, or if my parents would have agreed and let me go
Mhm.
to whatever direction they wanted me to go and get on medication, um, now you whatever label they put on you, you carry that for the rest of your life because you receive medication for it. So now you're receiving medication, you have a diagnosis, so you're walking with that for the rest of your life. And
Mhm.
when I went back to the inner city school, I had none of those problems. So I think a lot of times, um, even some of the labels that they put on us or they want us to have, even, you know, going through the court system and anything like that, the labels that they put on us, it's like they want us to basically accept what they're giving us, accept the titles and labels that they give us, because they know that it can negatively impact us in the way that we're moving forward for the rest of our lives. So we're not as successful as we can be. Um, I don't think I would have even thought about doing anything outside of the regular path, if I hadn't went back to the inner city school, and been able to talk to counselors that look like me, that was like, you don't have no problem, you're not crazy. You think
Mm.
you're crazy, you're not crazy. Sit down somewhere and think about what you just said, and that's it. You know, so I think it's really important to have people that look like you that really that care about what
Understand.
you're going through.
Right, right, right. Nah, it's so true. Y'all see why I like this guy? You see how great he just articulated that? Now,
Man,
as far as your sons, do they have the same mother?
nah, they don't.
How, how did you balance that out? That was my next question.
So my oldest son, me and his mom met in high school, and then we had a child. We stayed together for a little while. It didn't really work out, and then my youngest son, me and her, we had our son together a few years after that, and it didn't work out. Now I know people could relate to that because I know a lot of people. And unlike the other answer that I gave, where I said, you know, it can be, make you stronger, and it can be tough. I'll
Mm.
be straight up. That's an uphill battle. But um, I will say one of the best ways to deal with a situation if you have kids by two different women, three different women, seven different women, whatever your situation is first and foremost to take care of your kids. Um, if you're taking care of your kids, then a lot of times I think it's not as much drama. And then also just making sure that you stay in like constant communication, speaking to your kids often, understanding what they're going through, speaking to the other parent often, understanding what they're going through, because whatever they're going through, the child goes through.
Mm. Man, that was powerful, man. That was powerful. Hold on, let me pause this real quick. Since I'm an honest guy with my listeners, I had to run and open the house for my my fiance and my 2 kids as he was eloquently talking about just taking care of your kid. And look at me mismanaging how I did it. But you were so right, man.
Hey, but one thing they can learn from that is you went and got that door, make sure she got to the house though.
But man,
that's all you got to do. Hey, just make sure.
Man, so you was able to, how you as the man, because I'm looking at the 22-year-old or the young man between his 18 and 25 that has to balance that. What are some techniques, like tangible techniques that you use to manage both children's mothers as well as still being a part of their lives without one feeling jealous of one another?
Without one child feeling jealous of one another.
Because like even with one of my friends, he got 2 different baby moms, and it's always one is getting more than the other, or that one getting attention more than the other. Like it's always something. Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Talking. You good?
All right. So yeah. What I would say is for takeaways or something tangible that you could do is, first and foremost, I would say that the biggest thing I had to understand is that you don't control these women because you used to be in love with them.
Woo!
Like, that's one thing people got to understand is you can't control that woman's life. You can't control who she talks to. I hear, crazy stories about guys they want to get into it with, the mother of their children, about who she talks to, who she spends her time with. At the end of the day, you can't control that. You can't control her. You can't control her life the same way she can't control yours. I would say that having an understanding of the fact that you guys share a child, you no longer to make that separation and say, okay, this is a woman who I share a child with, and the bond that we have is for the betterment of this child, not for me to get off something that I feel that she's wronged me and she did, X, Y, and Z wrong. So I'm gonna get back at her by, I don't know, not taking care of your kid, or by not calling her, not, you're only hurting your child. And that's one thing that I had to understand is that once you let the emotional side of things go, and you're no longer thinking like, well, what we went through in our relationship and having those conversations that don't pertain to the child. Once you let that go and you just talk about the child and what you guys are gonna do to make sure your child's life is better, I think the overall relationship is better.
Wow.
Which took a long time for me to understand, because don't reminisce. don't reminisce. And to be honest, don't sleep together. Like, don't sleep together with you if it's somebody that you guys are over, the relationship is over, and you don't want any problems, and you just want it to be, you guys have a good relationship for your child. Don't let it go. Just let it go. If it's done and it's, you don't want to be in that situation, just let it go. I would say respect her space, and let her live her life, you live your life, and then you communicate with her in a positive way, for your child. So like calling, be respectful about times that you call. Like, don't call her at 12 o'clock in the morning. Like, call her during regular times. Call her when your kid is awake.
Right.
If your kid not awake, don't call your baby mother. Just let her do her. That's the only thing. It'll save you some emotional. It'll save you some emotions.
Right. I bet.
Yeah.
It was something key that you told me when we was at the conference together, and it was something that it had put me in check as well, because you starting early with your boys, and you said, I don't want to take it away, but the vocab words.
Yeah,
Go ahead
yeah,
and
yep.
talk to me about
So
that.
so with my oldest son, since my youngest son, he's still kind of learning. He's still putting everything together. He's 4. My oldest son, we've been doing a word of the week, basically for some years now, probably since maybe he was 5. And basically going over different words, so that way he has a larger vocabulary. So he he basically at this point in time feels comfortable in a conversation to where somebody's using certain words that they start trying to spell out because they don't think he understands. He knows what it means. He knows
Mm.
how to spell it too. So so I did that because I think that being able to communicate is so important. It's so important to be able to say how you feel, why you feel that way, and also it's important as far as trying to just get your point across in any sense of life. You want people to be able to understand you clearly, so that way there's no confusion. I think the words allow him to do that because he gets excited about understanding a new word or how to spell it. Um, and he also, I mean, he's an entrepreneur himself. My
Okay.
7-year-old.
Okay.
So my 7-year-old, he's a let me go ahead and plug my son.
The
So
floor
my
is
son,
yours.
his Instagram is, yeah, my son, his Instagram is Little Visual. So if you go to his Instagram, you'll see he's a photographer, and that's the kind of thing that I want to instill in him. But the fact that he understands how to use his words, when to use his words, he's starting to learn what things he likes to do. When it gets to the point where he's actually trying to truly monetize his craft of being a photographer or whatever he might want to do in 2 weeks, he uh, he knows how to relay that information clearly to anybody who's listening.
Can you hear the rain on your end from my background?
Nah,
All right, good. Because I just didn't want it to pick up in the audio. But man, that's phenomenal, man. Because I still haven't done it since you told me, and it's something that I did want to implement. I have actually. We'll talk off camera about it, but I have something that I want to do for the school year for my son. But that is phenomenal, man. Building up that vocab and getting him straight with that. So salute to you for that. Um, and I'm gonna ask 1 or 2 more questions. I gotta find my phone. I'm all discombobulated with the rain and everything, but teaching entrepreneurship. We went there. What is your take, perspective, and overall viewpoint on mental health in the Black community? You heard?
man, I feel like it's like a taboo conversation. Like we never want to talk about it. It's like, for example, I think we all have, and I make light of it, but it's not a light situation. But we all have that one person in our family where you like, oh yeah, something wrong with him a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
he never goes to the doctor. He never gets
Mm-hmm.
checked out. Nobody ever really fully sees what's going on with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as we've been kind of taught to just deal with our problems internally and not really talk about how we feel or what's going on with us. Especially men, we're taught that we had to be strong. So I feel like in the Black community, a lot of times, if there is mental health issues, a lot of times we don't know because we don't go for counseling, we don't go for therapy. We just it's seen as something that's weak, when in reality having the ability to be vulnerable is a sign of strength, because you actually are dealing with the stuff going on instead of burying.
Man,
So
is there anything that you want the next young man who has 2 kids, who has the ambition, who has 2 baby moms, who has the same lifestyle that you used to have? What would you tell him for advice of managing that? Because we have a lot of Black youth out there, especially with men who don't take care of their kids. What advice, what last message would you want to leave for them?
my biggest thing, I would say, just keep going. Like, whatever it is that you really want to do, keep going, and don't let your circumstances define you. I would say whatever you've been through is just creating a story for you to inspire somebody. It's
Mm.
not, where you're at isn't your final destination. It's just your current, position in life. You have to keep going because where I'm at right now is not where I'll be in 5 years from now. But where I'm at right now is in a place where I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm still going to be learning and growing in 5 years. But I'll be in a position to where I can continue to give back more and be, closer to where I ultimately want to reach. So I would just say, keep going. And if you have two baby moms or you have two, whatever your situation is, if it's exactly like mine or even a little bit similar, I would just say it comes with a lot of stress. Find a routine. When you have a routine and discipline in place, it'll help eliminate some of that stress and confusion in your life, and it'll put you into a place where you can focus. And once you're focused, you're unstoppable. So get disciplined and get focused, and don't let anybody stop.
Man, you put that so eloquently, man. And on that note, follow him. If you got anybody that needs his services, let him know. His Instagram will be up here somewhere. I don't know. I never know how to do this. It'll be up here up there, so you can contact him and reach out to him, especially if you need any advice. And remember that this platform has never been about a replacement to therapy. It's an alternative, and it's a place where people share therapeutic stories. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.